Hello, hello, and the time is here. We're back for another week of Launch Codes football. I'm Daniel,
I'm Matthew.
and week six is actually, yeah, it's upon us because it's Thursday. Week six is here and now. So, man, like last week we had a lot of come from behind games, crazy upsets, no more perfect teams. This week it's, you know, we don't know.
It is what it is.
Yeah. When
End episode now.
we're predicting the future, there's gonna be five 400-yard passes. But well, there could be definitely be one in terms of one to three games that I'm looking forward to. The Cowboys are traveling to the Panthers, so yeah,
We're in North Carolina, and we know that Bank of America is going to be like 70% Cowboys fans. So
and
come
we
next
know
Sunday.
and we know Dak's gonna want to fling the pill, and
Because like we mentioned last episode, like Dak has played like to an MVP level. But one that I'm really interested about that game is I'm not sure how tuned in everyone was to the Dolphins and Panthers last week, but Eric Collins, the broadcaster, he really elevated that game just because when you see Panthers and Dolphins, it maybe not like the sexiest game, but like Eric Collins, it turned out to be a good game, especially the ending. But Eric Collins, he really elevated that game in my opinion as just a listener and watcher of the game, which was great.
so
Hopefully
just
he's back.
yeah, hopefully he's obviously he's the Hornets announcer, and he's really the only thing that makes that team watchable. He is.
Yes, it's true. The Hornets. I think. We've had this conversation off mic, but I definitely like the Hornets are like definitely like the most. I don't know the most forgettable franchise among the three major sports of NBA, MLB, and NFL. So like, yeah, he really does elevate the Hornets podcast, and he elevated the Panthers game. So hopefully, you got Dak Prescott throwing and Eric Collins like shouting out. I can. I'm looking forward to that game. That'll be fun.
And, no, another touchdown for Prescott. It's only the second quarter. No, but this is going to be very much a shoot. Maybe I'm not going to. Well, no,
I
no,
mean,
yeah,
it,
I'm going to predict it. I'm going to predict the shootout because these are two atrocious defenses. In their defense and their respect, I don't think this is a time when Dak goes crazy in terms of passing because the Panthers just don't have a good run defense. The pass defense
yeah,
is the right home about, but their run defense is what kills them. I think this could be a big Javonte Williams game, and for the pack and for the Panthers. This is going to be very much a Bryce showing out party of just like,
yeah.
okay, this is one of the weaker pass defense I have to face. And as long as I'm getting protection and potentially, like if like this could be a game where like he can show like everyone who doubts me because it's like a funny thing in our text thread of the people on Launch Codes Football. We always, by the end of the first half, want to trade Bryce Young or send him to a different team. And the second half happens when he plays 100 times better. So hopefully he can actually complete a game.
Yeah, I really hope he's able to turn around because, like you mentioned yesterday, with your chat, and if you watch that first half, you're like, "What? The Panthers might need a new quarterback," and then he really showed out in the second half and led them in that comeback. So, this could definitely be a big game for Bryson with like how leaky that Cowboys defense is. Maybe he'll put like 3 or 4 touchdowns. Maybe the Panthers could shock everyone by winning this game.
And if the Cowboys win, then this is another step for them to potentially be a wild card team, a dark horse team to get the seventh seed and get the honor of being knocked out by whoever in the playoffs. But speaking of NFC East, I see, unsurprisingly, you got your team circled on there. My brother, the
Yeah,
Giants traveling to Philadelphia to play tonight.
Yeah, so yeah, the Giants. Of course, it's Giants Philly, and I know I mentioned like last week how Philly fans. I used to like. I was always kind of like indifferent, generally indifferent to Philadelphia, just because they've had a lot of favorite players. But these past few years, I don't know what has happened, but they've become a lot more cocky. It's been a lot very frustrating as a Giants fan. So I'm not expecting a Giants upset. It would be amazing. It'd be really nice. It would like really be like something to hang your hat on for this season. But you always. I feel like as a Giants fan, I always circle Philadelphia and Giants whenever, even regardless of how good or one side of one team is against the other.
I just want to see if just one just going back to like the Bryce Young. I just want to see the Eagles finish a game. I'm just tired of
I
these.
don't, not this one.
I just don't want them to show up whatsoever. Just like no more first half great teams, second half we're just like we're just like looking on nails or whatever. Just I think Dogs could have a decent. Dogs hasn't looked. He's looked decent. He hasn't looked bad the past few first
Yeah,
few weeks.
and Just I'll say just like one correction. Like the game's actually the Eagles are coming to the Meadowlands. I guess the new Giants Stadium, MetLife. But yeah, I mean with even though I said like I know the Phillies probably gonna win this game, the only I guess more so of hope that I do have is that the Philadelphia offense, excuse me, the Philadelphia offense has really struggled. And the strength of that Giants team is the defensive line with that pass rush of Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, of course, Abdul Carter, the rookie. So if they're like, I don't know, if the Giants just kind of keep it close and maybe force Philadelphia to make some mistakes, then maybe the offense can do just enough to hang the I don't know, the upset. Just kind of like you never know with division rivalries. So
So how many touchdowns does Saquon get?
two.
Oh man. Well, going from one AFC NFC dominant team to another, we got two well, technically we got two teams, so I say all in first place. San Francisco and Tampa. That's I think San Francisco has been dancing in the rain and not getting wet. And if they somehow pull up the upset in this game, I'm going to have to actually talk to Shanahan. Like, who did you sell your soul to at this point? There's no reason. Like, this is, I'll say Tampa Bay is probably one of the best offenses in the league. They're definitely one of the three top teams in the NFC. San Francisco, who they, it's CMC. They have CMC on one side and Fred Warner on the other side, and we're going to ride them until we get to the playoffs at this point.
I really don't know how San Francisco has done it so far this season. Just because, I mean, once you started seeing these injuries, you're like, oh, they're doing the same thing that happened last year where their season was derailed by injuries. But this year, they've been able to like to hang on and like shout out to Mac Jones, who, I mean, he was a Pro Bowler his first season, but then after that, I mean, he really he regressed a lot. But Kyle Shanahan, he's one of these young offensive, I guess, youngish nowadays because he's been in the league for a while now. But he's like one of those offensive gurus, like kind of like Kevin O'Connell with Minnesota and even like Harbaugh with the Chargers, where like they're able to like kind of get the best out of some guys, and that's what he's done so far with Mac Jones. I mean, that offense is like him and like between him and Brock Purdy, they really haven't missed a beat.
Do you think Mac Jones has played himself potentially to get like a second starting job, like almost like the Baker Mayfield kind of idea with him going to the Rams with McVay, then going off and getting his own thing with Tampa? You think Mac
That
Jones may have played himself like, oh, he has some potential, and then goes to like whatever team needs a solid quarterback in the offseason next year?
I mean, that's been a recent trend in the NFL. Like I really enjoyed seeing like these renaissance, these rebirths of like someone like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Geno
Gino,
Smith. Even though it's not really playing out like this year, but Geno Smith, he had some nice solid years in Seattle.
Aaron
So I
Rodgers.
definitely, I yeah, Aaron Rodgers, yeah. I mean, I feel like Mac Jones probably has just because I mean, if you're debating between him and Purdy with like the Purdy's new deal, you probably do have to keep Purdy in this case. But I mean, maybe Mac Jones goes on to someone else. Maybe he goes to a team like Pittsburgh when Rodgers retires, or goes to the Jets once they move on from potentially like Justin Fields. So I could definitely see that happening.
Or he goes to Miami. And
Oh, I mean that could be another choice too. If the Dolphins choose to like completely rebuild,
I was going to say seamless transition, but then you cut me off, so thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Seamless interrupting class. I need Chelsea. I need Chelsea back. We got the Chargers and Dolphins. We got the a rematch of the fame Epic in Miami from 1982. That's right. I'm throwing this back to the 80s before we were both alive. Um, yeah. Both two teams are going the wrong direction at this point. Both were well, one of them was projected to be a playoff team. The other team was kind of just like
I
protect.
think
Like,
they both had like some kind of playoff hopes.
do you think the Dolphins have really much playoff hopes going to the season?
I mean, I think they did. I don't think they would go on to like the AFC Championship, but I definitely think they could have. I think going into the season, they probably thought we could definitely be at least a wild card team, maybe win a division round. So maybe win a wild card game, enter the division round. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, you referenced the Epic in Miami, but kind of continuing my week, Helen Winslow Sr. is not walking through that door. So I mean, they're both kind of. I think the Dolphins are more in a free fall than the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers definitely have. I mean, back to back losses isn't always pretty, isn't always good. I mean, they've had some injuries, maybe some by this week, some of the linemen, some have come back. But I mean, the Chargers, I still feel like they're above water. The Dolphins, I feel like they're kind of sinking right now.
Yeah, no, that's fair because But at the same time, the Chargers lost 2 weeks ago to the Giants, starting a rookie
Yeah.
quarterback. They lost this past week, last week, to the to Washington, cut with a quarterback come back from injury. I'm not gonna say that this is too early to say this is like a major turning point, but they have to start winning games again. They can't
Yeah.
have any serious threat in the AFC West with Kansas City and Denver on the come up right now, and they lose these games that they really should win. They honestly should. They should not have two back-to-back losses going to this game. Now, of course, the offensive line is always a question. They going to the number three running back at this point because the other two running backs are out right now. And the Dolphins have looked fairly decent. It hasn't like the Dolphins haven't looked bad, honestly. Outside of
Yeah. I mean,
outside of week one, they haven't really looked like a bad team. It's just they
I will say, I mean, I think the only like really bad component of their team has been their defense. I mean, that's a big part of it, of like a
the
team.
one
But
third of
yeah,
the team.
I mean, the offense has been okay. I mean, the special teams has been okay. I mean, I know, I mean, Mike McDaniel is one of those coaches who's been on the hot seat, but I mean, because of that defense, I just think I could definitely see the Chargers kind of having kind of like releasing a lot of this kind of, I don't know, frustration they've had over these past few weeks, like maybe winning, I don't know, something along the lines like 31-17, something like that, just kind of putting up a 30 burger against the Dolphins.
Honestly, if that happens, if they like shellac the Dolphins, that might be it for McDaniels. That might just be
It's
like
gonna be. It's gonna be. I mean, it's very interesting in that. I mean, there's so many coaches on the hot seat nowadays, but I definitely feel like he's towards the top of it, and it's a shame because I mean, a few years ago they were putting up 70 points, and you don't put up that number unless you're playing Madden. But now, like everything about that team is just felt really off going into like from last year, and it's really showed this year.
yeah, yeah, and well, I gotta say it's just I don't know. It's just one of those things that I've thought the Dolphins. I thought, as saying like I said, going back to year they scored 70 points. We all thought that, oh, this is gonna be like one of the new big teams in the AFC, and just it turned out completely not. And that leads
Yeah.
us to your my last game that I'm kind of looking forward to. It's last year's number one and number two overall picks, the rematch of the Bears and Commanders. Bears coming off a bye week, and Commanders coming off a big win against the Chargers. Um, Chelsea is a lot higher on the Bears and Caleb than I am, but I will admit they've looked decent. Well, they're off last week, but they've looked decent after the first this season so far on offense. Caleb hasn't looked as disastrous. That helps a lot when you have Ben Johnson and not whoever the coach was last year. Why
Oh,
am I
well, yeah.
the guy who the guy who didn't want to call a timeout on Thanksgiving immediately fired. But no, so I think this is a good interest. This is gonna be an interesting week, seeing Caleb coming off a bye week, having a week of rest, practice, and all that stuff, and going against a Commanders team that is going to second week for a quarterback that's coming off an injury. And I'm not gonna. This is again, these are two teams that I don't think they are any threat in the divisions, but they are threats for wild card positioning. And I think that's gonna be a very interesting matchup between the two of them.
Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, it wasn't important.
But anyway, I mean I guess I follow along more of your sentiment. But I was entering the season, I was more higher on the Commanders and the Bears. But I mean, I've been impressed with these Bears these past few weeks. I mean, they're on bye, but they I mean it was not the prettiest game. But I mean, the Bears last year would not have I don't think beat that Oakland the Raiders 2 weeks ago. But I mean, the Commanders. I mean I was even though again like not the prettiest game, but Jaden Dale's first game back against a good Chargers defense and he did just enough kind of getting his feet back and just like playing like after coming off the injury list and they beat a good I think good team in the Chargers and I do think they could actually compete with Philadelphia. Philadelphia has had some struggles. I
Hmm.
mean Philadelphia is probably not going to lose against the Giants, but I mean the Philadelphia doesn't have like the easiest schedule and like they've looked kind of sluggish on offense. If the Commanders especially beat the Bears, I definitely feel like I think they're going to be hanging on to Philly for a while. It's going to really frustrate Philly just because, I mean, you don't want why is the Commanders hanging on to us? But I definitely think the Commanders are going to beat Chicago, and then they're definitely going to be competing late into the season, I think, for the division.
I have to give some credit to one guy on the Commanders because we all thought that this guy was kind of done, kind of past his prime. Like Deebo Samuels has been playing like an amazing receiver. His stats so far this year, he has 30 receptions for 300 yards and three touchdowns. Is that not even counting the fact that he's still threatening the run game? I think we all didn't because Scary Terry's been out for a little bit. So it was like,
Mhm.
okay, now what's going to happen to him? He's playing like his old school Debo number one self back in San Francisco. He's a consistent threat with them. And I think him with Scary Terry, they make low key one of the better receiving duels in the league. I'm not sure if Scary Terry is actually Terry McLaurin is actually going to be playing this week or not. That's going to be a big question. But in terms of, I just something's kind of off with me with Commanders in terms of them competing for a division title. Maybe that could just because like Jalen's been out for a couple weeks. Um,
Mhm.
but I just when I feel like when them and the Eagles finally go head to head together against each other, I still look at the Eagles as just a much superior team. Maybe they'll only be a superior team for the first half, which has been the way they've been going, but I feel like I think you're the one that always says like you wait a year for a rookie quarterback or for a team that's kind of on a hot streak, have like a
I did,
like
yeah.
a miracle run or something. I'm not saying they're going to take a step back, but I don't see them as like at this moment as a title like a because they were title contenders last year. I don't see them as a title contender this year. I see them as a team that's going to be fine for a 6 or 7 slot in the playoffs. So this week is going to be a big week to trying to keep that slot open. Them and the Bears.
Yeah, I guess I would respectfully disagree, just because I guess because this is the division I'm most familiar with, and with the way Philadelphia has been playing and Washington has, they again, I thought it was a impressive win against the Chargers with everything that's happened with Jaden Daniels. So I think on paper I would still pick Philadelphia head to head, but I think it's a lot closer than probably what you think.
Well, there's one last game that we didn't think there's going to be much division matchup. With New England's win last week, it's Buffalo has to look out with them. Buffalo, the only game back, and New England at the moment has a tiebreaker. They're going traveling to Atlanta, the ATL, where the Falcons are either going to look like a super team or a D2 team. There's no in
There's
between.
no in between the Falcons, and I feel like it's kind of been that way post Matt Ryan for these Falcons, for the Falcon franchise, where some days they look like world beaters, and other days they look like the world beat them up. So, I feel like I would pick Buffalo, even though Buffalo they lost at home to New England. But they also they let New Orleans hang on for a little bit, and then they played like very close against like a Ravens defense that hasn't looked really that great. So, I still think Buffalo's probably one of the classes of the AFC. They might still be like the number 1 or 2 team in the conference in terms of just who I think is most likely to get the Super Bowl. But I feel like I could see Atlanta kind of sneaking up, maybe grabbing this one from Buffalo. But I think Buffalo could win this one, maybe say like a 24-10, like kind of a little. I feel like the game might be closer than the score actually will be. So.
You say 24-10. I don't think Buffalo can hold a team like that to 10 points with that much offensive talent. No, that's fair. 'Cause I think if there's like one game that I was putting like a major upset alert, it would be this game, Buffalo traveling to Atlanta. Because
Mhm.
Atlanta, again, I just don't know which Atlanta team we're gonna get.
Yeah,
If I get the
I
good
know
Atlanta,
I
it's
know
gonna
they're
be
coming off a
crazy.
bye. Yeah, I know they're coming off a bye, but I believe it was like week 3. Michael Penix look did not look good at all. But then like the game before the bye, he looked great. So like you just don't know what Jekyll or Hyde team you're gonna get with Atlanta.
And I think that's a good point of view with saying with Buffalo. Buffalo really should have lost that first game against Baltimore. New Orleans, even though New Orleans is a respectable team that's been competing, you don't go to the wire, well, kind of the wire, a two-score game against a team that you should easily win. They just lost last week to New England. I don't know how good is Buffalo in terms of. I'm not gonna say if you take Josh Allen off the team, how good are they? Because they're obviously not that good. They're obviously like an average team without him off the team. But how good are they in terms of, and he's not having his normal Josh Allen crazy game, which he didn't have against New England. They lost. Is this team basically run on Josh Allen's literal, his arm and his legs?
Yeah, I'm afraid because I feel like because we're in Carolina, and I know we saw that at times with the Panthers with Cam Newton. And
Yeah,
I feel like this buff. It's interesting because they're trying to strike more of a balance with Cook, who's a solid running
Cook's
back,
a
but
good
it's also like
runner. Yeah.
when you get that running back, it's when you get like that balance. Maybe his stats don't look as sexy when he was like I don't know scoring 40 plus touchdowns. So they need to get more balance because I feel like that's an issue. I felt that way towards like Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, with Baltimore with Lamar before he got Derrick Henry, and now with Buffalo, where you're relying too much on like your automatic amazing quarterback. But when you see someone in Kansas City where Mahomes, his stats haven't looked like like when he first came out the gate, but they've been more of a balanced team. I mean, they've struggled this year with the running game, but in the past few years, they've tried to win the ball, which I think Buffalo has been doing. So maybe Josh's stats don't look as great as they did before.
No, no, that's fair. That's fair. This also will be an interesting matchup if because same like I said before with the Commanders and Bears, Atlanta can always sneak up with the with a wild card spot. Atlanta's a solid team like that, so
Yeah, there's talent on that team.
yeah, they obviously I would say Bijan's a top five running back at this point, and Drake London, he's one of the more I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in all football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Bijan he I think his last game he finally broke through for his first touchdown of the season, and I'm glad because he's such a talented running guy.
And the revival of Kyle Pitts, the fantasy killer for
This is the
every
year he'll do it.
it's finally gonna happen. But no, once again, we have to bid farewell to all you lovely patrons and amigos, amigas. Matthew, once again, I thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I mean, thank you for having me. I love just talking football.
Yep. And hopefully your Giants pull off the miracle and take down the defending champions. And hopefully I'm not going to spite my. No, I'm going to say the Steelers are going to win on Sunday. I'm hosting the Browns. And
They should win that, yes.
now, if they don't win, you're going to get very angry. It's going to be a very different podcast. We're going to go from Disney to Tarantino, son. But
Find the
no.
expletive button.
But no, this has been another week of Launch Codes Football. Follow us on social media, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Always check us out on we listen to podcasts on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and always keep up keep a watch on the Twitch on Discourse because who knows when we decide to do a live stream. There's a couple games that we've been eyeing that's coming up soon. But until then, we must bid you adieu for the week. I'm Daniel,
I'm Matthew.
and everyone have a fun weekend. Adios.